Hello everyone, how are you guys doing today? Happy Tuesday and welcome back to Let's Be Real here in radioinnovacion.com. Your radio, your blessing, here with Gabriela.
We have Luis.
And we got Caesar.
How are you guys doing today? How's your Tuesday? Would you guys do anything fun, anything interesting? What'd you guys do for Valentine's Day?
Okay, I go first then.
Go.
I went mini golfing with a special someone.
Oh wow, that sounds like a lot of fun.
What did you do, Gabby?
What did I do? I also went mini golfing. It was fun. I had never done mini golfing before, so those of you out there that have done it, you guys already know how it goes. But it was a new experience for myself, so I enjoyed it.
I just want to put this out there though.
Yeah.
Gabby copied me.
Oh, by the way, to those who are watching us on YouTube, no. Okay, I did not copy him. He copied me. But what about you, Luis? What did you do?
No, but you
for
gotta say
Valentine's Day?
why did he's copying you?
Why are you copying me?
Yeah.
I don't know. He just felt inspired.
Not because of the sweaters, right? You guys
Oh,
about the sweaters.
yeah. Well, that's why we said if you guys are watching on YouTube,
Oh,
you
okay.
can see like what we're wearing and stuff. But if you're
not.
tuning in, yeah, I guess not. That makes sense. He's wearing the same sweater as that I am.
Yeah.
Just want to preface this by I wore it first.
Nah, she did. I ain't finna cut. Yeah, she did. I saw it. I was like, I got in my room and I saw it. I was like, oh, dang, yeah, she's wearing the same one. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Oh my goodness. But what about you?
That was Sunday, right?
Yeah, Sunday.
So Valentine's Day. I mean, basically just ate with the family, watched a little movie, and then I guess the guys had soccer here at church.
Oh wow.
And it was pretty
Oh.
cool. Actually, there was more people that came this Sunday than the other Sundays. So we got to do a bit of exercise. There was a lot of people, look retired, but they have come back to try again.
Oh no, that sounds like a lot of fun though. I don't play soccer, but I know that anytime you can have some fellowship, especially right now with COVID, there's not a lot of like social events going on. So anytime that there is any, I think it's good to take advantage of that and to just spend some time with friends as well as family and just surround yourself with a good community of people,
Yeah.
people that are gonna lift you up, and healthy friendships, healthy relationships, all of that good stuff. We talked a little bit about love last week, but I feel like it's a very like important, I guess, holiday for a lot of people, because a lot of people really look forward to like spending it with a significant other. But the truth is, love, it should be celebrated every single day, and with the people that surround yourself, your friends, your family, not only your significant other. It's a reminder of the greatest love that we have ever received, which is the love of God. So we should celebrate that every day, So even if you didn't do anything super exciting for Valentine's Day, hey, it's not too late. You can still celebrate today and every day of the whole year, God's love is here every day, not just on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
But oh my goodness, do you guys have any news, anything interesting that you guys found? I actually wanted to share about the vaccine, the COVID vaccine. I was looking into it because, I had heard that they brought it to the San Francisco Bay Area, and I know that a couple of friends of mine got it, but I was interested in seeing if they were offering it to just citizens like myself.
Yeah.
But there's a huge wait line. I don't know if you guys know that.
Mm-mm.
Especially if you don't have insurance, there's like a huge wait line. I know they're not charging for it, if I'm not mistaken. But even still, they're saying that hopefully by next year, everyone's vaccinated. So that's still a long time,
That's
guys.
crazy.
Still a long time to be in quarantine and stuff. But, I mean, hey, I'm glad that they were able to find something to keep us healthy, to keep our elders healthy,
Yeah.
Because the first thing I think of is my grandparents, the people that are more at risk with the virus and stuff. But do you guys have any news, anything interesting that you guys might have found, seen on TikTok?
I found something on TikTok that was pretty interesting. I was talking to you guys about it, but I have not spoken about it in the radio. So I saw a TikTok that said that if you die before your pet, it's always good to have someone like tell them like, oh bro, like, yeah, my bad, your owner died, not like that, right? But like take them to like where their final breath was, and then like they'll understand the message, or else they're gonna be like, well, where the heck is my, like, if you, nobody tells them or nobody shows them to them, like, well, they're gonna be like thinking their whole life, like, oh, he abandoned me,
Or they're gonna be thinking their whole life they're gonna come back.
yeah.
Just like Hatchie.
I was really about to say that. Like, if you guys haven't watched the movie Hatchie, like, it's a very sad movie.
Just sharing with you guys, before the podcast, we were all talking about like our go-to movie to make us cry, or movies that have made us cry in the past. So if you guys haven't seen Hatchie, that's a very
10 out of 10 recommended.
11 out of 10 recommended. Okay, it's a really good movie if you want to cry.
There's
What is your
also Marley and Me.
Marley
Oh yeah,
and Me?
Luis, yeah.
Luis was sharing that. I've never seen that movie, but we're definitely gonna have to check it out because you said you cried.
Yeah, that came out in my middle school day, so
Oh
that was
dang!
like
Oh,
2012, 2011.
A long
around
time
there.
ago.
Yeah.
and then The Notebook.
The Notebook is
It's alright. Like the first time I watched it, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of had a little schmidgy
a
right
little
there.
tear. Someone started cutting onions around
Yeah,
you.
somebody started cutting onions around me, but I don't like not enough to like just not like that, right? But like it was. I was like, ah, dang, that kind of hurt. Like I'm not gonna like the way they died together. Like sorry to ruin it, right? But they died together. I was like, ah, that hit right here.
There's a lot of good movies out there, you know, especially during COVID. I know the first thing I told my mom when they announced the quarantine in like March or something, I told my mom, oh, well, it's fine. This quarantine isn't going to last that long. We'll just watch movies every day. I kid you not. For 2 weeks, we watched like 3 Disney movies every single day,
That's crazy.
which is a lot of movies in a day, you guys. So I don't recommend you
I
guys
know you've been
do
on
that.
weekends. You don't even feel like watching movies. You're like, wow, I already watched that one. Already watched that one.
Yeah.
already watched
You're
that
just on Netflix. Watched.
And there's not a lot coming out for the same reason. So
Yeah.
I know recently Netflix added a couple things. So that's what I've been doing. I watched I think it's called To All the Boys I Loved Before, like the third one. And I saw also iCarly. I saw
Who
iCarly.
broke your heart?
no one broke my heart. But it's a very good movie. Like it's a very cutesy, romantic movie, whatever. But if you guys have anything or any movie that you guys recommend, DM us on Instagram or comment somewhere. You know, we'd love to hear what are your favorite movies. I know we've mentioned here some that have made us cry, but what is your like go-to favorite movie? Not one that makes you cry, but one that you would recommend to anybody if they were to ask you, like what movie to watch. Do you guys have any personal favorites?
Well, I know we were talking about Marley and Me. There was also The Good Dinosaur. If you guys want to get a couple of tears out there. But good action movies, I don't know. We have, Taken. That's one of the good ones, intense ones.
Like, are you guys fans of Marvel and stuff like that?
Oh,
I don't know
dude.
much, right? But
Yeah,
I know
definitely.
that there's a lot of people that are very fanatic to those type of movies.
There's a good amount of movies coming out this year. I think there's gonna be like Doctor Strange,
Mhm.
the Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. I heard Spider-Man's is gonna really. There's been a lot of conspiracy theories, cause I think it was like the first Spider-Man. How Dr. Octopus had they're trying to kind of come up with the name for him
Yeah.
in the movie,
Uh-huh.
and they're like, well, and at the time, Doctor Strange had never appeared in the picture before,
Wow.
and so the guy, the head of the newspaper, like
The guy with the little tobacco.
Yeah. he was talking to the other guy, like his right hand man. He was talking to him. It was like, well, we have this new like villain or superhero. What should we name him? And then he's like, I like Dr. Octopus, or we could do Doctor Strange. And he goes, that's a really good name, but it's already taken. And if you guys look back and you're like, wait, Doctor Strange had never appeared in the picture before.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's cool to watch
Hashtag
movies,
TikTok.
though. Yeah. TikTok be, like, giving you all of the
Yep.
details, all the in stuff,
Yeah.
I would say a personal favorite movie that I've watched, I don't know what's one that I've, like, enjoyed a lot to watch. There's a lot of kid
Hatchie.
movies. Yeah, Hatchie's a very good movie. Okay,
Fox and the Hound.
let me. Okay, that's my absolute favorite movie. But if I have to share one that like is very meaningful, I guess you could say, this is gonna be really silly to both of you guys, right? But it's in Spanish, and it has to be in Spanish. It's Barbie and the 12 Princesses. It's a Barbie movie. But wait, I can recite that movie from beginning to end, okay?
Jesus Christ.
Not even kidding. But that movie, I've grown up watching it with my sister and my mom. So anytime we want to have like a day together,
Yeah.
we throw on that movie and just watch it. Like, it's a very childish movie.
How about a Christian movie? Which one would you do?
Oh my gosh, Christian movie.
I can only imagine, hands down. I watched it.
Okay.
I just rewatched it recently too. And I was like, wow.
That's a heck of a good movie. But my favorite Christian movie that's also meaningful is War Room.
Yeah, that one's
Because
good
I remember when I watched it, I was just like, dang, like, I want to be able to pray. Do you guys remember that grandma's prayer? I was like, yes, girl, I don't know, but you're on fire for the Lord. I want to be like that. When she tells the guy also, like, I said no, or I said stop. I don't know what she says, right?
Yeah.
So I highly recommend that one. That one's very good. And it's something to think about, you know, as Christians, like, are we really praying like that? You know? Sometimes we think that our battle is with like our brother and we argue a lot, but when we really think about it, there's a spiritual world out there. That is who our fight is against, and that is why we pray. That is why truly prayer is so important, and connecting with God, because that is where we're gonna fight and win our battles, because the greatest battle has already been won. Amen. So it's so awesome. Go for it.
I don't know if you guys watched either Courageous or Facing the Giants.
I feel like that's
Those are like the most generic movies ever, but they hit hard.
Yeah.
They hit hard. Yeah.
Or Fireproof is the other one, right?
I haven't watched that one. I haven't watched that one yet.
Wow, that was like the first Christian movie I ever watched.
The first one I watched was Facing the Giants. And I wasn't Christian at the time. I was just going to church because, like, my parents went, like, just because. And then I remember they had youth. I remember going to one. I remember going twice. The first time it was a movie night, and so we watched that movie, and I was like, "Dang, that's crazy." They got like the how was it?
You said Facing the Giant, right?
It was facing. No, not Facing the Giants. Courageous.
Courageous.
They had
was your
played Courageous,
movie.
yeah. And I was like, I saw there's like a, like, I don't want to sound racist, right? But like there's a black guy there, and then my cousin had came with me that one time, and he's like, I'm trying to think of the word. It's like, is that like the fake 50 Cent? Or like, but you know who he is, or no?
No.
You know who he is, right? Yeah, like they look identical, but just like, yeah, it was crazy. I was like, hey, that's kind of crazy, bro. But yeah.
Well, now that you're talking about that movie, another one that just came to mind that is really good as well is I'm Not Ashamed.
Oh, dude.
Super good movie and based on true events. You know,
Luis likes to call it the school shooter movie.
Because I forget what it's about, and I'm like, oh, the one that he gets shot up.
Oh my goodness, yes, it's that movie. And actually, it's really sad because I remember when I was like 10 or something, I got a book, and the book is called Rachel's Tears, and it's actually based with her journal. So her journals that she wrote, and it has like pieces of her journals, you know, and it talks about it. And I love watching these kind of movies because it's very inspirational. It gets you thinking. And actually, moving on to today's topic, a lot of these movies have a theme of not giving up.
Yeah.
And keep going, and like, you know, God isn't finished yet. And we see it in many times. We see it in the story of I'm Not Ashamed, of this young girl named Rachel. I'll do a quick little, like, you know, story. Yeah. For you guys that don't know what it's about, it's basically a real event. School shooting. Columbine was a school, 1999. A school shooter went in and shot a bunch of students, but particularly this story is remembered because there's this young lady named Rachel, like I said.
Rachel Scott.
Yes, Rachel Joy Scott, actually, who was shot, and right before she was shot, or like he was ready to shoot her, he told her, like, do you still believe in God? Like, do you still consider yourself a Christian? And she said yes. So a lot of people know her by the great act of faith that she did. You know, she died, but she really understood and displayed the act of, like, just because she dies, like, doesn't mean that her life ends there. You know, like, we're all looking for something eternal, and her heart was set on that. So go for it.
You know what, like, that movie, the one that hit hard, that the scene that hit hard was at the very end, where when she had already passed away, and her mom was like going through like her stuff.
Yeah.
And she moves her like her drawer, her cajon, her dresser, and then it had a handprint of her hand, and it said, "This is the hand of Rachel Scott, who's gonna touch a lot, who's gonna touch a lot of hearts one day.
Yeah.
And like it kind of like is a story I told last week how we like that girl wanted God to use her in an amazing way, and like there's only one way God's gonna use you, and it can either be in life or it can either be in death.
Yeah. And you know, they're great inspiring stories, because I think as Christians we're all going to have hardships. And I think when they portray in the movies and they show the real side of being a Christian, not just, you know, everything perfect and everything good, like no, we see in many movies and honestly in real life how as believers and just as people, as humans, whether you believe in God or not, we're going to have hard moments. Yeah. We're going to have moments where, you know, we're going to feel discouraged. We're going to have moments where we're going to be, you know, tired, where we're going to be ready to throw the towel and not want to keep going. But we're here tonight to share from our experiences, to let you guys know, like, you guys got this. We got this. God is with us. Just because we have hard moments doesn't mean that we can't get through it.
Yeah.
You know, we're all running this race, but it doesn't matter who starts it, because many people will start the race, but not many will finish. And I remember I read a quote one time that said, it doesn't matter how you finish the race, but the important thing is that you finish it. Yeah. You could be on your knees, you could be like crawling, dragging yourself to the finish line, but you're gonna make it. And that's what counts, you know, you winning the race, you getting to that finish line. And I don't know if you guys have an experience of where you guys have felt like giving up, but I have many times, and I don't know if I'll start with sharing that. But I guess we can say I was probably in like middle school and stuff, and I remember, I mean, I guess everyone at that age wants to fit in. Everyone at that age like wants to, you know, be cool or whatever. And I didn't talk to a lot of people, but I had a really, really close friend, and we were friends since like elementary, so it had been a couple years already. And there was a week in time, and I know this might sound silly, but at the time it felt like the biggest problem ever. So she came up to me and she said, I have to tell you something really serious. And I was like, okay, like what's up? Like what's going on, right? And she told me that she was gonna leave. She was gonna move to Mexico. So, I mean, from here being in the U.S. to her moving to Mexico, that was a big change. And I remember, like, at that time, technology was there, but it wasn't, like, that advanced. You know, we didn't have, like...
FaceTime and stuff.
Yeah, we didn't have, like, FaceTime or anything. So I was like, what am I gonna do? Like, I'm not gonna have friends or whatever.
Yeah.
So, regardless, she left. But there was a time after that where I just felt... like really bad about myself. I was very insecure. I was just emotionally like hurt and everything. And I remember thinking to myself, I have no one to talk to. Like I have no friends. Like at this point, like what's the point of living? Like I don't even have like someone to like spend or share these moments with, you know? Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I had my parents and everything, but I've shared before that when I was younger, my parents used to work, so I used to kind of be in charge of my siblings. I would have to cook and clean the house. On weekends, I wouldn't be able to go out like a regular teenager, you could say. You know, I had the responsibility of a mom, or a responsibility that wasn't mine. Yeah. So I guess that kind of all weighed in on me, and I got really sad. I got really emotional for a time, and I honestly thought to myself many times, I don't want to keep going. Like I'm done, you know. And I would look at other people. That's the thing. I would compare. And comparison is such a bad thing. Don't do that, guys. I would compare my life to others. And I would say, I want what they have. Like, it looks like they have it so easy. It looks like they have, like, good friends. It looks like their parents are there. It looks like they don't have to, like, sacrifice themselves on weekends to not hang out with friends. Like, I have such a hard life. I remember telling myself that many times. There were many times that in my room, like, I would cry because I didn't know, like, I felt like I had it horrible. Like I had it as bad as you could ever get it in this world. And I know maybe now it might not sound like the biggest problem, but being the age I was and being, I guess, immature and stuff, it really hurt me. It really affected me. So I remember many times I wanted to give up. And at that time, I wasn't super involved in church. I did attend church, but I wasn't, you know, involved or anything. I didn't really talk to people. Yeah.
Sorry if you guys can hear that. The sisters are having a meeting in the back.
Yeah.
My bad.
It's okay. They're rejoicing. Okay, we're gonna let them rejoice. We're
Yeah.
rejoicing here as well. But going a little bit back to my story, you know, I felt really sad and stuff. And I remember one day I came to church and the pastor was talking about how, like, having like true faith in what that looks like, and trusting God not only in the good but trusting Him in the bad.
Yeah.
And I kind of questioned myself. I was like, well, I want to learn more. Like, what is it that makes these people so joyful even though they have like very hard moments? So I started, you know, getting in my Bible more. I started serving. And I'm not going to say it was a change from day to night, but I started feeling more like myself. I started feeling joyful. I started opening myself up to people. I started making like great friendships. I started being involved in church, and it kind of changed who I was.
Yeah.
I was given an identity but before that point I didn't have one. I didn't understand who I was. But when I came to the feet of Jesus, I found out who I was, and I shared this before about camp and stuff. How that was like my first encounter, and this was like at the same time that everything that I was going through. So it kind of hit me at once, and I was like, dang, there's someone out there who loves me. There's someone out there who, cares about me. And now I understand that even though I'm going to have hard moments, like I still need to keep going. I still need to keep fighting, like this race isn't done yet.
Yeah.
God has so much more. And if God is for us, who can be against us?
Amen.
So that's kind of my experience of feeling like I want to throw the towel, like I want to give up, but finding myself again. And I'm not going to say that I haven't had those moments again, but I have. I've had many moments even now that I'm older where I feel discouraged, and I feel even more so when you get yourself involved. Being realistic, there's going to be issues, there's going to be problems, but the thing is that when you surround yourself and you really surrender yourself to God, He's going to guide you through it. So He's going to be in the fire with you. He's not going to let you, just suffer on your own. He knows that when we're with Him and we're holding His hand, like, we'll be able to make it through.
Yeah.
So that's the most important thing. And I don't know if you guys have a story like that where you guys, have felt ready to give up, and kind of what changed, and how did you learn from that? How did you grow to now, still having hard moments but not giving up so easy?
For me, well, I kind of give thanks to God because He kind of allowed me to see, the race, both spiritually and also physically, because back in high school, I was very active and I was able to do sports and stuff. So in cross country year, He kind of showed me like, all right, you start the race, and in the starting line, you have like hundreds of athletes that's going to run the race. And so I don't know why, but every time we start a race, like, I feel so nervous to start the race. Like, you just see all these people and you're just like wanting to be the best or try to make it, at least make it impressive for the coach, right? But throughout the race, you all try to start off fast to get a good spot, and then throughout the race, you start seeing people slow down, people will keep their fast pace, and then there's even a moment in the race where people just give up, and then you're like what's gonna happen to them? Like, does it still count or something? But I guess they just get disqualified, and nothing, just like they just lose their points, right? Their team loses points. And so that's kind of in a sense how I see it spiritually. Like, you could start off praising God, giving it your 100%, but if you do not end the race, then it's worthless.
That's a really good point that you bring up, because I didn't do track, but I would go to track events because I had friends that were in track, and I know that sometimes you did like you ran it in the school. What was it? Just like it was plain terrain. It wasn't like hills or anything.
The track.
Yeah, the track. There we go.
The track.
That's what it was. But there was other times, and I don't know if you had that happen to you as well, but where they would go to certain track meets, and it wasn't the track. It was like hills, and then you'd have to go down and you'd have to go up. And that's the same way with our spiritual life. Yeah. There's going to be times where, it's going to be easy because we're going to be just like going downhill, and like we don't even have to try. Yeah. It's going to push us. But there's other times that we're gonna have to push ourselves to go up the hill, and you might not see like the end line, or you might not see the finish line, but at the end of the day, we have to push through it.
Yeah.
We have to push through it. And I think one of the hardest things when you get to like a middle walk, I guess you could say, with God, is seeing people give up, like you said.
Yeah.
Seeing people give up halfway. Like, what do you do then?
Yeah.
But I remember something that I've shared before, and something that I will always share. Never put your eyes on man. Always put your eyes on God. Is it going to be hurtful sometimes to see people that you thought you would end the race with give up? Yeah, it's going to be hard, because you're going to see like, well, if they couldn't do it, can I still do it?
Yeah.
You know, you're going to doubt yourself sometimes, but...
And it gets discouraging at times, because I also wanted to share, you know, a moment where I kind of had that with my family. Because I know we've been Christian for a while now, but even being Christian, like, you know, there's times where the enemy tries to step foot into your life, right? And there was a time where I forgot what we were doing, but we're at the dinner table, and for some reason, like, you know, this argument just started happening within, you know, my parents and my siblings and everybody, right? And it was my mom, like, she started getting mad about, you know, the house not being clean enough, or I don't know, just everything just started, you know, going on and on and off. And then, like, we're all loving people, but when we get angry, like, it's crazy, right? And so everybody, you know, was going off, and then my heart was just full of anger too, because I'm like, why is my mom screaming at me? I thought she loved me and all this stuff. And my dad too, like it was just, you know, chaotic. And so I ran to my room, and I was just like, I don't want to be part of this no more, right? So I went to my room, I closed the door, and I started crying of anger, because I was like, man, like, there's so much going through my mind right now. Like, the enemy's putting, like, all right, you got to run away from your family. They don't like you. They don't love you. Like, you got to do something, like, you know, be aggressive towards your dad. If he's trying to fight you, fight back. And to your mom, if she's gonna scream at you, don't let her scream at you like that. Scream back, like hit her, do something, right? And my heart was just full of anger, and I was just like, man, I can't stand this. And so I wanted to run away. My mind was already working, you know, running away, going to a friend's house, leaving my family and never coming back. And now that I think about it, I'm like, dang, imagine if I did do that. My family would have got destroyed, maybe, you know. I mean, of course, through time, if I would have let my pride continue, then I wouldn't have returned. But because God was there with me in that room, like, he let that happen, but he also calmed me down. He was like, hey, it's just momentary, like, you know, they're human. And I knew God was there, but the anger was kind of blinding me, and the enemy was trying to blind me from seeking God, right? And so in that moment, you know, with time, I just let it happen. I cried my eyes out. And then after all, you know, the chaoticness, like, went down, and it was just silence. Like, that's when I, you know, went to God, and I was like, all right, God, you know, it hurts, because growing up, you're always taught, you know, respect your parents, love your parents, always look up to your parents, right? And when it comes to something spiritual, like, I also desire, you know, to have my parents be my leaders, but because they're human, they're also going to have times where they fail. There are also going to be times, you know, where they get angry, where they're not themselves, where they're not the leaders or the guidance that you desire. But that's when God comes in, because God is perfect. God is loving. His love is unconditional, and he will love you regardless of what you do. And so that's when I started praying to God and asking him, you know, to help me, because I didn't want to have that hate and anger stay within my heart, because, you know, it's just going to cause more problems, and it's just not going to end up good. So I just left that in God's hands. And that was the time, you know, where I wanted to give up, and I just am grateful that God was able to reach out to me and be able to give me that love and that patience, but also be able to change my parents, because before Christ, my parents were something else, and it took a while, you know, to mold them into the people that they are now. Because now, if you look at them, they're like, you know, some loving people, right? But before, man, it was crazy, and the enemy really had us. We were all full of anger, full of hate, and I mean, we could have been happy, but if it wasn't for God, we wouldn't be where we are now, man.
For sure.
That's awesome. That's a good story. You know, I think it happens many times where we let our emotions get the best of us. It happens, I know, to all of us. It's happened to me with my family. It's happened with my friends. And I think that the moment we allow the enemy to have even the littlest bit of our emotion, the littlest bit of like an open door, he takes it and he takes advantage of that. So I don't think we should be like, afraid of having bad moments, not only with our family, with other people, because like Luis was saying, we're all human and we're all gonna struggle. We're all gonna let our emotions get the best of us, and there are gonna be times where we feel bad or we feel anger, but in those moments we have to make the decision to really just be patient. And if it means going into your room, that's something that I have learned growing up as well, because my mom's not Christian, and my dad is. So in our household there's a lot of conflict because I have 3 siblings, so there's like that controversy in a sense of growing up, and but I let my kids believe this, and like but I let them believe this. So there's a lot of conflict, and emotionally that has affected me a lot. So there's been times where I just go into my room and I just like put in my headphones or whatever, and I'm mad. Like I don't even have the words, like you said, to like say something, or to like, if it was in my own flesh, like I would say so many not nice things. Yeah. But I'm like, Lord, okay, like calm down, calm me down. Yeah. And I just wait it off and pray and talk to God. But that's where you have to choose to keep going, and choose to keep loving those people, choose to pray for them. The Bible says to pray for even your enemies. So I mean, if they're your family, pray for them, love on them, and you're gonna have moments where you feel like giving up, but don't. Keep going. I want to share with you guys a verse. Let me share it. It's over here. I have it saved. So it's 1 Corinthians 9:24, and it says like this: do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one receives the prize? So run that you may obtain it. And this is what I was talking about earlier, like about running the race and stuff. What is it that you are focused on? What is it that you are like waiting to receive? Are you caught up in, trying to please people? Are you like ready to give up because you feel like you've been a failure to those around you? Because I know that's happened to me before. Yeah. Even just this week, I experienced a sense of like wanting to give up, because for those of you that don't know, I'm 21, right? So most people by my age are like already getting ready to graduate. And actually, all of my cousins that graduated the same year that I did went straight to a 4-year university, and they graduate this year. Yeah. So this week I was seeing them like get their cap and gowns and like get ready for graduation, and I thought to myself for a second, like, really? Like, oh my gosh, I kind of got in that position of, Lord, I'm serving you and I'm not in school. Yeah. I have a very tough situation for school right now. I guess I'll just put it simple like that. So I got that sense of discouragement. And it's funny that we're talking about not giving up, because I thought to myself, well, it might not look the same way as other people's paths, but I know who holds my future. And I know that, even though it might not look the way that I want it to, I got to trust that if I don't give up and I keep on like going and I keep on serving God, I keep on being faithful, yeah, He's also going to bless me and He's going to reward me. And I'm not doing it to get a reward in exchange, but that's how God is. Yeah. He's so good that He does that for us. Yeah. So I don't know if Caesar, you want to share an experience that you've had where you maybe felt like giving up and stuff, and what kept you maybe from doing so.
Well, I know a lot of you guys know like kind of what happened for me in high school, that I didn't know if I was going to graduate. I was in that boat of, am I or am I not? So it kind of like a race starts off, like how Lisa was saying. In the beginning, everybody has like a strong, like starts off strong. Everybody's going like halfway. You see people falling off, and it was kind of the same way for me. Freshman year, like I went in strong, right? Like I was, like I know I'm not a smart kid, Like at the time, like I was happy with the 2.0. Like if I get a 2.0, I thought I was a freaking genius. Yeah. But that's kind of because that's what every requirement for anything in high school to be able to do. You have to have at least a C average requirement, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I like. I was always like a conformista. That's what my mom called me.
You were comfortable.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well, I know there's a quote, or not a quote, just a saying that people say that they're like C's get degrees, right? So
Exactly.
even if you get C's, like you still get a degree. So
Yeah, you see. But like, like I was saying, like freshman year, you know, you like I started off pretty strong. Like I'm not gonna say like I got straight A's. No, like, you know, I was averaging out about a 2.0 average.
Yeah.
And I thought I was amazing. Like I was like, let me go try out for a lot of things. Like I could play now, like, right? And so once that like, that's basically and like and as a Christian, when you first start off as becoming a Christian, you're on fire for God. You know, you're like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna go preach to the nations. I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna go do that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go up there and preach and like once it comes to like, not what is it? Sophomore and junior year,
Yeah.
that's when everything it hits you and you're just like, whoa, this is high school. It's not middle school. It's not elementary anymore.
yeah.
You know, I have to get myself together. If college is like, my mentality was I have to get into a 4-year right after I get out of high school.
I feel like that's the mentality that they give a lot of us
Mm-hmm.
from the day you're born. I mean, I know my parents growing up, they're
Yeah.
like, you have to go to a 4-year. And even now that I talk to my parents, they're like, oh, that's not like, it's not that simple. And I'm like, yeah, well, I guess now we realize that.
Yeah, like I'm not like anybody who's listening. I'm not saying like, oh, you don't have to go to a 4-year. Well, yeah, I'm that's what I'm saying, right? You don't have to go to a 4-year, right?
Yeah.
But I highly encourage it. You know,
Yeah.
it gives you like it's not even about like what you know. It's about if you can prove it that you know it, then you're like you could do it. You know,
Yeah.
society's all messed up right now.
Yeah.
If you can show a degree that's saying, look, I know how to do this, then you get the job.
Yeah, and I say pray about it because a lot of people, I know a lot of young people make decisions maybe on their parents or maybe because of their friends. Or
Influences.
Influences.
Yeah.
That's the word. Thank you. A lot of people make decisions based on that, but I don't think, you know, you should make a decision that serious based on, you know, your friendships or stuff like that, because like you said, even though it is important to go to school, I know that's not for everyone.
Yeah.
Right here.
everyone has different paths and different ways, and realistically some people don't have whether it be the funds, or some people just don't feel ready enough to go to school or whatever, and that doesn't mean that you're not going to be as equally as successful or that you're not going to be as equally as important, because I know society has made it that way.
Yeah.
And a lot of people give up going to school because of the financial situation.
Yeah.
But something that I've learned throughout these years, I guess, is to trust God.
Yeah.
Trust Him. Trust Him with everything that you've got.
Mhm.
You know, whether it be your finances, whether it be your desires, your goals, whether it be your friendships, your relationships, your family, everything that you may ever need. Like, trust God with that. Because He knows what He's doing.
For sure.
You know, He's done it before and He will do it again. He will come through.
Mhm.
He's the God that comes through. The great thing is that His mercy is never done with us. His mercy is never done giving up on us when we're done giving up. His mercy is not done when we're done being faithful. His mercy is not done when...
It's never ending.
Yeah, His mercy is never ending. I mean, the Word of God says His mercy endures forever and ever. So we should trust that. And that's something that actually has been a very encouragement to me. Something that the psalmist always used to say, His mercy endures forever. Like, there's literally a Psalms where that's all he says, like, bless the one whose mercy endures forever.
Yeah.
And I love that, because I think to myself, what does His mercy mean to me? What does God's mercy mean? God's mercy means that I'm not getting what I deserve. You see, because if we were to get everything that we deserved, we wouldn't be where we are today. But because of the goodness of God, because of His mercy, because of His strength in us, is the reason why we haven't given up.
We're still breathing.
We're still breathing. We're still going today. In our human flesh, I can assure you, all of us would have given up already on life, because life is hard. From the moment, you know, I think when you're like 12 and under, I think you have this sense of like, in a sense, where you don't really see, or you may see problems, but you don't completely comprehend, you don't completely understand. But when it comes to a certain age, you start to learn, you start to understand all these things, and these things begin to affect you. They begin to affect you emotionally. I mean, we're seeing like rates skyrocket for young people that are giving up on life. Why? Because they cannot handle themselves emotionally, and that's something that needs to be talked about more. Because I'm honestly, as a believer, I'm sad and I'm enraged of how the fact the enemy is using and doing everything that he can to make young people take their own life.
Yeah.
Like, I'm tired of seeing videos on YouTube. They're like, oh, remembering this person, and it's just crazy how so many young people especially are going through this. So many young people, before their life is even like begun, before their life has really started, they're already giving up on it.
Yeah.
You know, they're saying like, oh, I'm done with life, I give up. And they're like 15 years old, and it's like, you don't even know life. Like, you haven't even finished school. Like, give yourself a break. No one has life perfectly, you know. No one has a perfect life,
An easy life. Nobody has an easy life.
yeah. And the thing is, we see stereotypes, and we see a lot of like posts on social media. I know it gets to me sometimes where I see a person have like the perfect body, or I see a person have, you know, trips all the time and get free things, and I'm like, dang, if only I had that. But then I have to realize, not everything you see on social media is what you
real.
get.
Yep.
Yeah.
And something, you know, crazy happened. I don't know if you guys know this YouTuber. Her name is Yoatzi. I don't follow her. I'm not a fan of her, but I noticed that a lot of people on TikTok were reposting this house and saying like, pray for her, like hashtag Yoatzi, right? And she's a big influencer. They're like, a lot of people really love her. She does makeup and she has a kid and stuff. But a lot of people knew that she had problems with her baby's father. So apparently he went into the house one day and like, he literally pointed a gun at her and at her kid. So a lot of people were like, dang, it's crazy how even having all the money in the world, that can't get her happiness. That can't get her and her kid the life that they deserve. And it got me thinking, really, because nothing in this life is perfect. And just because people might project or might show, you know, good moments in life doesn't mean that that's how it is. And I can assure you that they're where they are because they didn't give up. Because even in the moments that they might have felt where they wanted to throw the towel and, you know, maybe not keep going, they kept going.
Yeah.
You know, even if they didn't have the desire to, but you push yourself. And that's a big thing when it also comes to God, because I'm a big, like, I like being real with you guys. I love being real. And one of the big thing is, I know for me in my walk with God, excuse me, you guys, there's been many moments where I don't have the desire to come to church, and because, like I've shared before, my mom doesn't come, it's so easy for me to just say I don't want to go, and for my mom to be like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't push me to say like, you have to go to church.
Yeah.
So in that sense, in our walk with God, we're also going to have those moments where, you know, maybe some days you'll have an encouragement from a brother, from a sister, because God is so awesome that he does that for us. You know, when he sees that we are getting discouraged, he can either speak to you directly or he'll send someone to encourage you. But there's going to be other times where you're going to have to push yourself.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to really get intimate with God. And I love that because, you know, what I love about hard moments is that it pushes us to spend time with God. Have you guys noticed that?
Mm-hmm.
That maybe in those moments we might feel distant from God, but it is the hard moments that will bring us to our knees.
Mm-hmm.
To seek God, to seek the face of God, to read our Bible, to, you know, learn more about our faith. And I think that's why we should appreciate hard moments, and in the moments that we feel like giving up, keep going, because he is the one who gives us our strength. He is the one that, he says, you know, if you are weary, if you are tired, he says, come to me.
Yeah.
Come to me, and I will give you strength. So he is the one who gives us strength. He is the one who keeps us going and who energizes our soul to keep going.
Yeah.
Amen. So I don't know if you guys have any verses to share
I actually
about
do.
that. For sure.
So actually, I was bringing in this Well, I'll read the verse first. And it's in the book of John, chapter 16, verse 21. And it says, "A woman giving birth to a child has pain because her time has come. But when her baby is born, she forgets the anguish because of her joy that a child is born into the world. So with you now is your time of grief, but I will see you again and we will rejoice, and no one will take away your joy. In that day you will no longer ask me anything. Very truly I tell you, my Father will give you whatever you ask in my name. Until now you have not asked for anything in my name. Ask and you will receive, and your joy will be complete." And I know that happens to many of us, believers as well. When we're serving, there's times, where you go through discouragement. There's times where you face trials and tribulations and you feel like giving up. But right here in this verse, it shows right now we're going through this pain. But if you keep persevering, if you keep seeking God, if you keep asking God for help, towards the end, that's where you will see, the prize. That's where you will see everything. And then when you see that prize and you receive it, you will forget about the pain. And so I feel like that's what goes through with many of us, but it's kind of sad to see that many decide to give up. And so especially now, I feel like many believers are giving up. And I want to encourage all of you guys, do not give up. Keep persevering. Keep asking God for help. And recently, I know early in the year, I was, sharing with you guys and with Gabby and Caesar how I feel like this year is going to be the year where this generation rises up.
Amen.
And throughout this month of February, I myself was, feeling weary at times spiritually, and I was having trouble seeking God myself. But just recently, I don't know if it's just a season, because I feel like everybody was going through the same thing. But just recently, like this week, actually, I feel like there was a refreshment. Even though I think I don't know if it was because we opened the service to be indoor.
But I completely
I feel
agree
like there
with
was
what you're
something,
saying.
there was something new coming in, and I just feel excited about what's to come. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's going to happen this month coming or whenever, but I'm excited because I know God has put something in my heart, and I'm just excited to see what it is.
Amen. Sure. I don't know if you want to go and say.
Yeah. So kind of what Lisa's saying. So we just opened up our doors to the public again.
To the congregation.
Yeah, to the congregation. And I remember reading this verse before we started the slow song. We did a new slow song.
Yeah.
This Sunday. It was Famous For.
Great song if you
haven't listened to it. It's an amazing song. And I remember just kind of I was like, well, I feel like I should start it with the verse.
Yeah.
But when I said it, I felt like it wasn't it didn't really hit until today. So I was reading it over again today. It says, it's in Isaiah 43. It says, "But now, thus said the Lord that created thee." Can you read it for me? I suck at reading.
What verse is it?
All the ones that are highlighted.
Let's just change the translation real quick. So
if you change translation, because that's the one I wanted to use. I wanted to use the King James
version,
yeah.
But it's okay.
Let's see what happens. All right. Jacob, the Lord created you. Israel, he made you, and now he says, "Don't be afraid. I saved you. I named you. You are mine. When you have troubles, I am with you. When you cross the rivers, you will not be hurt. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not hurt you. That's because I, the Lord, am your God. I, the Holy One of Israel, am your Savior. I gave Egypt to pay for you. I gave Ethiopia and Seba to make you mine. You are precious to me, and I have given you a special place of honor. I love you. That's why I'm willing to trade others, to give up whole nations to save your life." And that's kind of like what we were talking about. We shouldn't give up.
Yeah.
Because the last verse, it says, Isaiah 43:4, it says, "You are precious to me, and I have given you a special place of honor, and I love you." If God tells you, "I love you," he means it.
Yeah.
If God tells you, "I have a special place of honor in I have a special place for you in my heart," he means it.
He's a God of promise, and that's what I love about him. We see in many stories in the Bible where a lot of people were ready to give up. And I love to see it with Abraham, you know, when he was waiting for his son Isaac. I can imagine the long wait that him and his wife endured for them to be able to conceive. And when they did conceive, she was very old. You know, she was at an age where if you were to share now with people, they'd be like, that's impossible. You know, you cannot conceive a child at that age. But our God is the God of impossible. So that's the beautiful thing with him, that, you know, maybe you're waiting. Maybe you're in a season of waiting and you feel like you can't endure anymore. Maybe you feel like, God, I can't do with this burden. I can't do with this weight. I feel tired. I feel weak. But I want to share a verse with you guys that is a very well-known verse, but it's very encouraging, and it's in Isaiah 40:29-31, and it says, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, he gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Even youths grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall, but those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. And I love this verse because I love how it says, even the youth grows tired and weary. Yeah. And I completely understand that. Like, I'm a youth and I grow tired and weary, okay? And I feel like that goes for both ways. That can go both physically. We can, you know, get tired of work. I get you. We can get tired of school because school is hard. It takes a lot of mental, you know, strength for us to be able to get through that. So you can get tired from school, from work, from responsibilities, you know, from whatever it is that you can get tired, or emotionally you can get tired with, you know, toxic people. You can get tired of negativity. You can get tired of, you know, hearing things that are not edifying for your spirit or for your soul. But trust in the one who gives you strength, you know, and that is why you should keep going, whether you're tired emotionally, whether you're tired physically. I think the moment that you surrender it all to God, because sometimes we carry our own weight on our shoulders. The thing is, we were never meant to carry that weight. We were meant to surrender it to God. So, like I've shared it before, I'm a person who worries a lot. So I can share from experience that the moment that I truly surrender everything to God, I feel this weight lifted off my shoulders. And I feel this peace that only comes from God. So I think even if you don't understand what God is doing, even if you don't understand, but you know that you feel weak, surrender that to God and he will give you peace. Maybe, like I said, you won't understand in the moment, but the peace that you get from God will allow you to endure until the moment that you see him come through, until the moment that you see him be finished with what he started, because he finished what he starts. And I love a song that says, even when I don't see it, you're working. It's called Waymaker, if you haven't listened to it. But it's a beautiful song because I think in our walk with God, there's many of those moments. There's many moments where we're like, God, where are you? There's many moments where we're like, God, are you even doing anything? Are you even working? Like, I see you. Yeah, like I see you working in someone else's life. But let me share something with you. If you were to take off your vision from your brother and sister and what God is doing in their life, you would be able to see what God is doing in yours. So make sure you're paying attention to what God is doing with you. You know, day by day you might not see the change, but I can assure you in a year from now, if you take a step back and you look at everything that God has done, you'll be able to see that he was there and that his hand was over your life in the moments that you felt that he wasn't, that his hand was over you when you were crying in your room alone, that his hand was over you in the moments that you felt ready to give up. That his hand was over you in the moment that you wanted to take your life, that you had suicidal thoughts, in the moments that you felt like you wanted to run away from home, in the moment that you felt that, you know, that no one was with you, that nobody loved you. His hand was over you. His favor was over you. His grace was over you. He has always been there with you.
Oh, it's kind of something that always stuck to me. It's crazy because my little brother told me this, right? We were talking about relationships, right? We were talking about relationships. Like, if you know my brother, like, he's super quiet. But if you ask him for relationship advice, I don't know why, he's never been in one, but he could give you.
He's a really good relationship guru.
Yeah, he's pretty dope. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, how do you how are you so good at this, bro? And he goes, hey, man, coaches don't play. And it's like, if you think about it, it goes the same way like what we're saying. You know, maybe in the hardest times, like we feel that God's not there. We feel like, you know, like we feel alone.
Yeah.
But when's the last time you saw a coach get into a field and start playing with you? When's the last time you had a teacher tell you the answers for a test?
Yeah, teachers never speak during the test.
Yeah.
So in the same way, in our trials, God may not feel so present, but that doesn't mean that he is. That he isn't. He is. He's there. He's constantly present.
Mm-hmm.
He's not just a feeling. Once you read your Bible and you understand, you see God in the sunset. You see God in the sunrise. You hear God when you hear a kid laughing. You hear God when you hear, a song or whatever, like in the silliest things, but you begin to see God all around you. Because that is who our God is. Amen. He's not just an emotion. He's not just a feeling. Yep. He's much more than that. And he's everywhere. Mm-hmm. He's everywhere. If you would just turn and look, he's there with you. So friend that is tuning in tonight to radioinovacion.com, your radio, your blessing, here in Let's Be Real, don't give up.
Yeah.
Don't give up because God's not done yet. And let me share one last verse with you guys. I did not even have this one written down, but it's a verse that has encouraged me when I've wanted to give up, and it's in Isaiah 30:18, and I'm just gonna find it real quick. But it has blessed my life highly. So I want to share this with you guys, and it says like this. I'm gonna go ahead and read it and share it with you guys. And it says, "Therefore the Lord waits to be gracious to you, and therefore he exalts himself to show mercy to you. For the Lord is of God of justice. Blessed are all those who wait for him."
Yeah.
Wait. That's the key word for tonight. If you want to give up, don't. Just wait. Wait and see what God is going to do in your life.
Your hardest moments are your best moments.
Yep. And your hardest moments will allow you to experience God at a different level. Because when we come to God, I think we know him in a certain way, you know, because of how people speak about him. But when you experience God for what you need him, it's way different. Because in that moment, he becomes not someone else's provider. He becomes your provider. He doesn't become just someone else's spiritual dad. He becomes your heavenly father. You see, he becomes your redeemer. He becomes your restorer. He becomes your head of household. He becomes your love. He becomes like everything you need. But see, that comes in the moments of hardships. Hardships push us to have intimate moments with God.
Single people, don't give up. That present's out there for you. God's timing is perfect, okay?
Yeah, God's timing is very perfect, and singleness is not bad, you guys.
It's not.
That's a topic that we can bring as well. Singleness, it's not bad.
Yeah.
And we should use it to the best of our abilities to praise God when you are single. So that's another topic for another day, but we just want to thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight to Let's Be Real. We appreciate everything that you guys do, for tuning in and sharing with your friends. Make sure you tune in with Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Also watch us on YouTube. You know, make sure you follow us on Instagram at Let's Be Real TSCC. And if you don't have a place to call home, we are inviting you to Templo Santo Community Church here in 201 East 18th Street, Enya, California. Here is your home. You are more than welcome. If you speak Spanish, English, we got you. Services are at 10 to 11 and 11:30 to 12:30. So don't miss out. Make sure you invite someone or you tell someone that Templo Santo is the place to be at. So we love you guys. Stay blessed, stay joyful, and don't give up.
This has been Let's Be Real with Caesar,
Gabriela,
Yeah, Luis.